Hello students, today we are going to cover the topic induction motors. A three-phase induction motors are the most common and frequently encountered machines in the industry. It has simple design, rugged, low price, easy maintenance. It is widely available in the various range of power ratings from fractional horsepower to the 10 megawatt capacity. It runs essentially as a constant speed motor from no load to the full load. Its speed depends on the frequency of the power source. It's not easy to have variable speed control. It requires a variable frequency power electronic drive for optimal speed control. An induction motor has two main parts, stator and rotor. A stator consisting of a steel frame that supports a hollow cylindrical core constructed from the stacked laminations, having a number of evenly spaced slots providing the space for the stator winding. This figure shows the stator core. The core of the stator is made up of the silicon steel material, like as the core made up of in the case of transformers. The similar construction is there in the similar material is used here for the motor, and the slots are cut inside portion of the core to insert the windings. The second important part in the induction motor is the rotor. It is composed of punched laminations stacked to create a series of rotor slots, providing space for the rotor winding. As the slots in case of stator winding are inside, whereas the slots in case of rotor winding are the outside slots, and in that slots the rotor windings are inserted, generally made up of the copper material. One of the two types of rotor windings are there. Either they are wound rotor or another is the squirrel cage rotor. The conventional three-phase windings made up of insulated wire, similar to the winding on the stator. Aluminium bus bars shorted together at the end of two aluminium rings, forming an squirrel cage shaped circuit that is called as the squirrel cage rotor. So there are two basic design types depending upon the rotor design. The first is the squirrel cage, conducting bars laid into the slots, shorted at both ends by short rings. Wound rotor, complete set of three-phase windings exactly as the stator, usually star connected. The ends of the three rotor wires are connected to the three slip rings on the rotor shaft. In this way, the rotor circuit is accessible. What is the difference between these two types of the rotor windings? One squirrel cage, another is the wound rotor. That in case of wound rotor, the extra slip rings are provided which act as the resistance inserting rings to control the amount of current flowing in the rotor. Let's see in this two figures. This one is the squirrel cage rotor and this figure is for the wound rotor. And what is the difference? In this case of the wound rotor, the extra slip rings are provided, and these slip rings will act as the resistance to control the flow of current inside the rotor windings. This is the cutout of the simple induction motor. In this cutout, it is noticed that in case of induction motor, the slots which are cut on the rotor winding are slanting, whereas in case of DC motors we have studied that the slots are parallel, the rotor and the armature and field winding slots are parallel, but in case of induction motor the slots are cut out slanting just to avoid the magnetic locking between the stator winding and the rotor winding. And moreover, here the slip rings are provided. So this cutout is of the wound rotor induction motor. The brushes are provided here to these brushes are generally made up of carbon, and these can be replaced when they are easily rubbed off, or then they can be replaced. So this is the rotating magnetic field. Here you can see that there are the three fields which are 120 degree apart to each other. That represents your three-phase supplied to the induction motor. The balanced three-phase windings, that is the mechanically displaced 120 degree from each other, fed by the balanced three-phase source. In case of three-phase source, we have already studied that a phase difference of 120 degree is there between the three windings. A rotating magnetic field with constant magnitude is produced. A rotating with a speed, this is the formula for the synchronous speed that exhibit due to the supplying the three-phase supply to the induction motor. The formula is N synchronous is equals to 120 F upon P. Here F is the frequency and P is the number of poles of the induction motor. These poles always in the even number, maybe 2, 4, 6, 8 and so on. And F is the frequency, that is the normal frequency we have used here as the 50 Hertz. So this is the synchronous speed that occurs in the induction motor due to its construction, due to its the three-phase supply given to the induction motor, and the units for this synchronous speed is RPM, rotations per minute. Here P is the number of poles and synchronous is called as the synchronous speed in RPM, rotations per minute, or you can also say revolutions per minute. This is the basic chart for the 50 Hertz frequency and for the 60 Hertz frequency. Let us suppose if the number of poles are 2 and the frequency is 50 Hertz, then if the frequency is 50 Hertz and number of poles are 2, then according to this formula we get the speed of 3000 RPM. And if the frequency is taken 60 Hertz, we get the speed of 3600 RPM. So as the number of poles are increasing, the speed, the synchronous speed for the induction motor goes on decreasing. So here again in this formula we can see that the P synchronous speed is inversely proportional to the number of poles. So as the number of poles are increasing, 2, 4, 6 and so on, our synchronous speed of the induction motor decreases, and so is given in this chart. This is the rotating magnetic field. This is the three phases representation: red phase, yellow phase and the blue phase, and all the three phases are 120 degree apart to each other. This is again the representation for the three phases. This is the different variation of the angle between them, how the motor rotates. Here our motor rotates in the anti-clockwise direction, and how these three phases, the red phase, yellow phase and blue phase varies. Here you can see the movement of the three phases from 0 degree to the 360 degree and so on. This movement we have shown as at an interval of 15 degree. Now let's study the principle of operation for the induction motor. This rotating magnetic field cuts the rotor windings and produces an induced voltage in the rotor windings due to the fact that rotor windings are short-circuited for both squirrel cage and wound rotor, and induced current flows in the rotor winding. The rotor current produces another magnetic field. The torque is produced as a result of the interaction of those two magnetic fields. Here you can see that we have studied the two types of magnetic fields are producing. One magnetic field is produced in the stator and another magnetic field is produced in the rotor due to the magnetic field produced in the stator. The field that is produced in the stator is revolving at a speed of synchronous speed, whereas the field that is produced in case of rotor is revolving at a speed always less than the synchronous speed. So the formula for the torque that is produced due to the interaction of these two magnetic fields is KBR into BS. Here tau induced is the induced torque. BR and BS are the magnetic flux densities of the rotor and stator respectively. Now at what speed will the induction motor run? I have already told you that the induction motor, rotor of the induction motor is the speed of the rotor of the induction motor is always less than the speed of the stator of the induction motor. Now, can the induction motor run at synchronous speed? If yes, why? And if no, then why? If the rotor runs at synchronous speed, which is the same speed of the rotating magnetic field, then the rotor will appear stationary to the rotating magnetic field, and the rotating magnetic field will not cut the rotor. So no induced current will flow in the rotor, and no rotor magnetic flux will be produced, and no torque is generated, and the rotor speed will fall below the synchronous speed. When the speed falls, the rotating magnetic field will cut the rotor windings and a torque is produced. So until the synchronous speed is there in the motor, there is no rotation in the rotor of the induction motor. So if there is no rotation, no magnetic flux is there, no torque is there, so the speed goes on decreasing, and once the speed decreases or the difference in the speed exists, then there occurs the magnetic field that cuts the rotor winding and torque is produced then. So the induction motor will always run at a speed lower than the synchronous speed. So hence the difference between the motor speed and the synchronous speed, we called it as the slip. It's a very important term, slip. So the slip is the N synchronous, that is given by the formula 120F upon P minus N motor, that we have called the speed of the motor, that is actually the speed of the rotor of the induction motor. Here N slip is the slip speed, slip of the magnetic field, that is equals to 120F upon P, and Nm is the mechanical shaft speed of the motor, that is actually the rotor speed. So the slip formula, it can also be represented as N synchronous minus Nm divided by N synchronous, where S is the slip. Notice that if the rotor runs at the synchronous speed, let us suppose if Nm is also N synchronous. If Nm is equals to N synchronous, then our slip comes out to be 0, and it seems that the rotor is stationary. And if S is equals to 1, if the rotor is stationary, S is equals to 1. Slip may be expressed as the percentage by multiplying the above equation by 100. So in our preceding numericals, we always calculate the slip in terms of the percentage by multiplying this equation with 100. Notice that slip is a ratio and doesn't have units. Now what's the similarity between the induction motor and transformers? Both induction motor and transformer works on the principle of induced voltage. Transformer voltage applied to the primary winding produced an induced voltage in the secondary winding, whereas in case of induction motor, voltage applied to the stator winding produced an induced voltage in the rotor winding. The difference is that in the case of induction motor, the secondary windings can move. Due to the rotation of the rotor, the induced voltage in it does not have the same frequency of the stator voltage. Now the frequency of the voltage induced in the rotor is given by, this is the formula for the frequency, that is P into N divided by 120. This we get from the same formula of the synchronous speed, that is 120F upon P, from where we calculate F is equals to P into N by 120. And here by putting this formula for N further, Ns, that is the synchronous, minus Nm, that is the motor speed, divided by 120, and this is the slip speed, and this gives you the frequency for the original motor. So this relation we have achieved for the frequency of the rotor. Now what would be the frequency of the rotor's induced voltage at any speed is NNFR is equals to S into Fe, that is multiplication of slip with the original frequency of 50 Hz or 60 Hz or anything that is given in the numerical. When the rotor is blocked, that is S is equals to 1, the frequency of the induced voltage is equal to the supply frequency. On the other hand, if the rotor runs at synchronous speed, that is S is equals to 0, the frequency will be 0. Now this is the torque. This we have studied in our next lecture, in the next video, part number 2. Thank you.